This video is about the principles of marketing strategy. You might be a small business owner ready to apply some marketing concepts to your business and you're just not sure where to start. So watch this video and learn all about the key principles when it comes to setting a marketing strategy. The first principle of marketing strategy is understanding your buyer. You may have heard the term persona. And what that means is that you have a specific customer in mind for your product or service. It's a man, a woman, young, old. They have specific problems that you solve with your product or service, and they're tailor-made for what you offer. So who are they? What do they do for a living? What do they like to do in their spare time? What are the challenges that they're facing that you solve? Once you understand your buyer, then you'll get the first principle of marketing strategy down. Idea number 2 is, what is the problem that your product or service solves? Now, you may be able to solve more than one problem with your product or service, and that's very legitimate. However, write them down and rank order them. What problem do you think is the number one problem that you solve? And when you connect that with the buyer, and you're able to clearly communicate that in a message, now you're on to something. And do you uniquely solve that problem better than your competition? Because obviously yours isn't the only product or service that can solve this problem, but do you solve it better? And if so, then you're on to something, right? You do it faster, you do it cheaper, you solve it more thoroughly, as opposed to applying a Band-Aid, you solve it once and for all. I hope that your product or service is that good. If it's not, then you may need to rework it because a competitor is going to beat you at solving this problem because they do it faster, cheaper, and so on. So that's principle number 2, is really understand what's the core problem that you solve. Principle number 3 is what makes your solution unique. There's a book that I read many years ago that I highly recommend for this principle, and that's called Differentiate or Die. In that book, it outlines that a product or service must be differentiated, and that when a person encounters your solution, they must feel that this is new and different than anything else I've ever discovered before. And I don't think there's anything better to solve this problem than this solution. If you have differentiated qualities on your product or service, you need to understand them clearly and be able to define and describe them. And when you can do that in video, in web copy, in spoken word, then you'll know that you have a differentiated solution that the marketplace understands and wants. And that's principle number 3. Principle number 4 is, how should you communicate the message about your product? There are so many different mediums that we can use today. Right now I'm speaking to you in video, and you can use YouTube or Vimeo, Facebook, various places to place video. But it's not just that. You can also use audio, you can use a blog, you can use traditional marketing mediums such as television, newspaper, direct mail, and radio. It's really important to understand how you should communicate your message. And also, should you go into long form copy? And by that, what I mean is the market aware of your product and maybe the category that your product fits in? If they're already aware of it, but you have something that's newer and better than what exists on the market, then you might not need to take as much time to explain it. However, if what you offer is something brand new, that's really breaking into a new way of solving these problems, then you're going to need to take longer. And so you may need to have what's called long form copy, which is probably best suited in possibly writing a short booklet that explains what you do and how you solve that problem. One long form medium are infomercials. And infomercials are a great way to sell new products because you can demonstrate the product, you can have people trying it and giving testimonials, and you can have long explanations for the product because infomercials could be 15, 30 minutes long. So think about what is the right way to communicate the messaging around your product based on the market's awareness of its existence, and then you'll be into principle number 4. All right, principle number 5 of your marketing strategy is, where should you communicate the message? If you understand your buyer's persona, and you know what type of person they are, then you probably know where they get information. Do they search for it on the web? Do they still look at the mail or the yellow pages? Do they read the newspaper? Where do they get information about products and services to solve the problems that they have? You know that there are still people that read the mail that comes. There are still companies that print catalogs and long-form booklets. There are companies that hold informational seminars out in the public. You'll often see financial advisors use seminars as a way to communicate about their product or service. So think about where's the right medium. And of course, some of these are going to be more expensive than others. And the last principle I talked about, infomercials, those are quite expensive. You may be able to replicate that through today's digital medium, which would be a webinar. You can do a 20 or 30-minute webinar, which would be much less expensive than putting an infomercial onto the television. But it really depends. Will your buyer be online, and will they watch a webinar, or would they prefer to see it on television? It's very important to understand this principle so that you put your money in the right place. Principle number 6 is, what's your offer? You have a differentiated product. You know the main problem that you solve, and you know who your buyer is and where you should communicate to them. What's the offer that's going to compel them to actually give your product a try? Most people need some inducement to try something new that they haven't tried before. And there's a concept I want to share with you that can make your offer stronger, and it's called risk reversal. Jay Abraham, one of the smartest marketing minds in our society, came up with this concept. And it is that all of the risk is on the seller and none of it is on the buyer. When you take on all the risk for your buyer, then you make it easier for them to give it a try. And so I want you to think about an offer that makes people stop and really pay attention and want to give it a try. Do you have to add a trial offer? Do you need to include a 1-year money-back guarantee? Do you need to give a 100% satisfaction guarantee? Do you need to offer to give money back with no questions asked? These are all risk reversal offers to get somebody to try something that they haven't tried before. Once you understand what your offer is, then you're really ready for principle number 7, which is our final one. Principle number 7 is, where do you go from here? You don't want to have just a single offer and a single solution, because there are people out there that want to invest more and spend more to solve bigger problems or do it consistently. So what is your upsell? What is your deeper level investment? Principle number 7 is understanding the value ladder. The value ladder concept is typified in various products and services. For example, the iPhone. When you look at the iPhone, you realize that there are multiple models. There is the standard model. The standard model has several variations in storage quantity, and then you even have a larger variation of the phone. This is the value ladder. As people want more service or they want more product that has greater technical specifications, they're willing to pay more for it. And so what is the next level investment in your product? Consider the VIP level, the one with high touch service, the one with more features. And when you can do that, then you can move people up the value ladder. They may not invest in your most expensive product or service to begin with, but then you can come back to them and help them to move up an investment in your company, and you start getting more and more out of existing customers as you're bringing in new customers. Now you've learned 7 different principles of marketing strategy. But applying it is another thing altogether, isn't it? If you'd like help applying these marketing principles to your business, then you might like to hire me as your marketing consultant to help you to accelerate the application of these and grow your business faster. If you'd like to set an appointment with me and learn more about my services, go to my website at buildandbalance.com.